The new intro for the Elite Real Estate Podcast is live now.
Get ready for the hustle, hear the echoes of pride from the sea where the dreams are built. Shine bright, making move top tier when they feel so right. Interviews with legends, secrets that they share.
What do you think, Nick?
Perfect. Jimmy Nelson in the
we brought Jack in now.
Great intro.
Great intro. So welcome everybody to the Elite Real Estate Podcast, live every Friday. 7:30, and I've got two very special guests to me on today, obviously with the two boys. So Nick Nelson sitting next to me, and Nick Nelson down in Alabama. And welcome to the show, guys. How you guys feeling this morning?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm good this morning.
Good. We'll give you some crowd applause this morning, and thank you guys for getting up early with me.
Yeah.
Especially the day after Thanksgiving. I know after what everybody ate yesterday, we probably weren't excited about getting up this morning at 7:30.
No. Lots of travel on my end, but yeah, got up this morning. Felt good.
Yeah. So you're still down in Alabama at school, right? And then you were in Huntsville the other day, and then now you're back into Pell City, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So good stuff, fellas. All right. So this show is special to me, and I wanted to have you guys on. And where do we go here? All right, hold on a second. Technical difficulties on the show. But anyway, so I would say Thanksgiving is always a good time to give thanks, right? It's a good time to say, thanks for our family, thanks for the things that we've been blessed with, and thanks for some ideas. And that's why I wanted to have you guys on today and get some ideas from you guys. Like, what are you guys thankful for? And I'm going to let you go first, Nick, and tell us what you're thankful for.
I'm thankful for my family, for my friends, and for sports.
Okay.
If I had to pick three, that would be the three.
Okay.
That's a good basis.
Yeah. Jack, what are you thankful for?
I'm gonna go a little more in depth here. I think I'm just thankful for having the life I have. I think thankful for just being able to wake up every day. I think that's the simple one. Like, it's an easy one everyone says, but it's true. You don't really think about it until you have it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's one of those things that you overlook very easily, but it's really that's the most thing I'm thankful for, because I get to wake up every day. You know what I'm saying? So I think that'd be mine.
Yeah, because some people don't, right? I mean,
exactly.
That's the harsh reality, is that some people don't get to wake up, and it's part of life. I've been pretty much open with you guys about circle of life stuff and how things happen, and it's just part of life and growing up is realizing that, that is life, So, but man, so let's talk about a couple things. So I want to talk about Nick and I. We're talking the other day, and I know you and I talked when you were home, about how you've kind of gotten two different dads from me as you guys have kind of grown up, right? A dad that was a 40-hour a week, grind it out, try to figure just corporate life out. That's what Jack got, right?
Yeah.
And Nick, you're getting this crazy psychopath dad that runs around like a chicken with his head cut off and is an entrepreneur. So I feel like the entrepreneur spirit's always been there, but it's become more prevalent over the last 15 years, I would say. And you're 13.
Yeah.
So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think go ahead.
I think that you haven't changed like a lot, like your personality, but like the way you think is kind of changed.
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't really know for like. I don't know.
Yeah, it's trust tree, buddy. You can. This is our extended family watching us.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our extended family watching us today.
Yeah, for me, it's like I saw more your coaching side. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think I saw more of like a coaching style, right? And I think you just transferred your coaching style to your working style. I think that was kind of the main difference that I saw, which was like, instead of like I go to work, you go to work to coach or to explain things or to help people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different perspective on how you work, but nothing like changed personally where it's like, oh, you're very different from where you were. It's like, no, you just changed your routine, I guess, like of how you went about it.
Yeah. And it's funny too. So it's one of the questions I have. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna dig into it in a little bit, but I've got some questions for you guys that will spark some thought too. But so what do you think, Nick? What do you think is? What do you think like the next? What do you think the next year or two is going to look like for our family?
I think it's gonna be a little different from like the past like 5, just because of like what's like upcoming. Like what you've learned from everyone that you've gone to like the events with and everything. So I think it's gonna be different from like the past 5. Like
Yeah.
way different, yeah.
Yeah. Like what do you mean? Like what's going to be different? You think?
Like you're just gonna, I don't know, you're just gonna like change different things. You're just gonna try to move things around and see if they work.
Yeah. Yeah. Jack, what are your thoughts? You got, I mean, you both are in different spots. I'm gonna let you answer that, but you both are in different spots, and I want everybody to kind of understand this. Like, for the listeners that are listening later to the podcast, Jack's 20 and he's away at school at Alabama, and some of you already know that. And then Nick's 13; he's in 8th grade, getting ready to go to high school next year. So these two are in a little bit different spots of what they're thinking in the next 5 years is going to look like. So what do you think, Jack? What do you think is going to look different or stay the same or change for the next 5 years?
That's the funny thing. I don't think anything family wise will change. You know what I'm saying? Like I think our family's in a good spot. I think you guys are in a good spot where it's like you just continue to grow. Everybody could continue to grow. You know what I'm saying? I think we'll all be kind of more in tune to each other because I think as we're all going up, we'll all be able to help each other in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of the biggest changes. Like would be we're all more understanding. We're all going up together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're all in the same elevator going up. And I think that's the kind of the only difference is like changing from, like the stuff we do now is just only to go up, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you think, like for the next, couple years is going to look like for you?
I think for me, it's like, I'm just going to take it wherever I go with it. I think I'm not gonna, hold back on opportunities. I think I'm just going to see what opportunities I have and take advantage of them.
Love it. What about you? I mean, you got high school plans already.
Yeah.
Right.
So probably high school basketball, and then really just whatever I get into in high school.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about a little bit the other day about that. And you've got some sort of thoughts that you kind of are kicking around.
Well, they're adding the new STEM center, so that's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
So they have like the aviation class. That would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the medical class they have, and engineering, which engineering would be all right.
Nick and I talked about this, Jack, just to give you some inside info on this too. And Nick and I talked about this. I told Nick, I said, I don't know if engineering's for you because you're too much like me. You can't sit still, right? Like,
I know a couple engineers. That's not that's tough gig. That's definitely not my thing. I can tell you that right now.
Personality wise, I don't know that it fits a Nelson to be an engineer.
No.
Like personality wise. Yeah, personality wise, I don't think that fits it. But that doesn't mean you can't do it, right? Anything you put your mind to, I think you can do. And I've always told you guys that, right? The thing I think that I've always told you guys is there's no such thing as can't, right? You can do and figure out anything that you put your mind to. And again, especially like once you find a passion for something, right? Like you find that passion for something. And again, then it goes back to, then you really never work a day in your life, right? Like if you find your passion and you do that and you do it at a high level, it doesn't feel like work, right? You can make money doing what you're passionate about, and then it doesn't feel like work. And I feel like that's the entrepreneur mindset. Like for me, that's the entrepreneur. And like Nick, you're 13. What is an entrepreneur to you? Like, what is that? What does it mean to you when someone says that?
It means, I think it means like they're trying to like work on like their business kind of, and they're trying to like explore, kind of like you, like you're an entrepreneur to me. So you're just trying to like explore different things. So yeah, that's basically what I think.
Okay. And Jack, what is that? What's that for you? Is like, what does that look like? An entrepreneur to you look like?
I think an entrepreneur is somebody that seeks good opportunities. I think you take everything in. You'll be like, all right, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. And you just seek whatever the best opportunity is. That's the one you take. So I think entrepreneur is somebody that just takes in a lot of information and then applies it to their opportunities.
I love it. You guys you're so far you've been spot on with every one of our questions. We'll give you another round of applause. Yeah, there you go. Give you guys another round of applause. So and I think that is true. I think all the things we're talking about this morning are true. And I hope that's the message that comes out of this. And that's been kind of my message with the Elite podcast all along is how do I like one help more people like with an entrepreneur mindset? How do we, because one of the hardest things and you guys deal with it on a different level. Like you're in 8th grade, so you got school and sports and your stuff. Jack, you're in college, so you got school and sports, right? But like, and from both of you, what is like, how hard is it like on a daily basis, like just to keep your mind right and stay focused on the things that you need to do, and have the accountability to get your homework done without us yelling at you, right? Mm-hmm. To get your studies done without us like being parents, because you're 14 hours away, Jack. We can't be with you all the time because you're 14 hours away. You're stuck with us right now, so you got yeah, Nick's stuck with us right now, so we're all over him. But what is that like? When you struggle, Nick, and we'll go to you first. So when you struggle with trying like schoolwork or just like concentrating on stuff you need to get done, what helps you stay focused on that?
Really kind of like my friends, just like, because I know that I play video games, obviously. So it's not like I'm rushing to get homework done, but it just puts me in like a schedule kind of.
Okay.
So it's kind of like get home, homework, basketball, get home, shower, and then video game. Like it's just like a schedule that I have. So I just keep a schedule, really.
Yeah.
There's like a thought in my head just to know what happens next.
Yeah. So is it? And I know the answer to some of these questions already, but is it? So you get that stuff done before you have fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that the idea?
Yeah, just like the main stuff get done first, like get the stuff for like school, like a project or like anything, and then go to basketball, and then do whatever you want, really. But
yeah, get the hard stuff out of the way first.
Yeah.
Jack, what about you?
I think for me, it's getting done whatever needs to be done, and then also making sure you find time for yourself. I think so many people can just get caught up in work or whatever it is. And like, I think if you don't find time for yourself, I think that's when that's when you get stuck a little bit. So I think finding time for yourself is like my biggest thing, is like making sure I have, 30 minutes or something where it's like, all right, I got nothing for these 30 minutes. I'm just going to, listen to some music, like chill out for a sec, like, have myself, get my thoughts together, think about what my schedule is going to look like the next couple of hours, the next day, whatever it may be. But finding those 30 minutes to like, all right, everything calm down for 30 minits, figure everything out. All right, listen to some music. All right, now we're back to what we're supposed to be doing.
Got it. And so for that's just like a little timeout, right? Like a little, I need a timeout because there's so much getting thrown at me right now. And that's probably your timeout is probably spent with your video games.
Yeah. Right.
But I think there's a couple of notes to take out of this for everybody that's listening is even, at 13, figuring out that you need to do the hard stuff first. right? Like that lesson in itself is huge for not only just real estate agents, but entrepreneurs who are trying to build a business. Like the hard, it's kind of like people talk about working out, right? If you want to work, like get it out of the way first. Get all the things you really don't want to do, get them done first, and then your day gets easier, right? So if you put things off, it gets harder. If you do the hard early, nobody really wants to wake up and do the hard stuff, right? And for realtors and for entrepreneurs and salespeople, the hard thing is, the funny part about this is the selling, right? Is the prospecting for business. And so that's the hard for you guys to understand what this is. Like the hard is I have to call, 500 people today, right? Well, if I put that off till later in the afternoon,
you have to call 1,000.
Exactly. I'm gonna have to call 1,000, and I still don't want to do it. So I can go have fun. And again, I really don't have a boss. I don't have a boss. So, but the hard part is about that is that I don't have that, right? I don't have that person holding me accountable to making sure I'm doing the right things on a daily basis. So that's where the self-accountability comes in. And that's the reason I ask you guys that question. You have a self-accountability plan where you do the hard homework, get that stuff out of the way first, then you can play with your friends.
Yeah.
And then Jack, you do that, getting your mind right, taking a little time out, just chilling out, and then going from there. So, but yeah, that's key. It's key to everything. It's key to building a business. It's key to life, right? Like, it's the key to life. If you, again, if you want to work out, if you want to build a business, if you want to do, your schoolwork, like all that stuff if you do that stuff first, then the easy gets easier.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See that technical difficulties, and then I gotta shut my phone off. But yeah, so I would say like those are just a couple things, and that's one of the things that I always try to teach real estate agents and again salespeople in general is do the hard first, and then it makes the easier more fun. If I can have my work day prospecting and all that stuff done by 5 o'clock, then I can go to your practice, I can go to your game, we can track, we can do different things. If the other stuff, if the heavy lifting is done early. Make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So it's life lessons that help build a business. And I think that you two are learning different things along the way that will help you like grow and develop into whatever it is. When we did the flip house, you guys were part of that.
Yeah.
You guys have been part of the flips and the flips that we've done. You guys have torn up flooring and molding and ripped out molding and door jams and filled with cat hair and gross stuff. And you guys have gotten in there and gotten your hands dirty. Talk to me about that. What was that like for you guys when we were doing the flips?
It was different for sure. It was just kind of weird that not going from school to home, but to like a different home. So yeah, I basically just came home from school, and if I didn't have homework, I would just grab a hammer and start hammering stuff. Or I was working on molding mainly when I did
you tore all the molding out of the entire house.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there is looking for a guy that needs molding torn out, it's your guy, right?
Yeah.
Floor molding, door jams, everything. He took it all off. Yeah, he took it all off. So yeah, so it was just a little weird just because you had to work.
Yeah. But that one place that we got every day was good. The one food place.
Oh yeah, because you like the food. Yeah. Because you like the food. Yeah. Now, Jack, what was your view of that? Now, and here's the other thing too. What is your view of that? And before we go to Jack, what's your view of the how and why we did that? Like, what does that look like now? Like, what do you think about that now? Like, as opposed to what's that look like?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know why we did it at the time that we did it, and we didn't do it like now or whenever. I don't really know, to be honest.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. What were your thoughts?
I think for me it was cool because it's like you see the HGTVs, you see all like the
Yeah.
videos of like, all right, yeah, we're gonna flip this house, and you're like, okay, but what really goes into that? Or like, they'll chop it up into 30-minute, a 30-minute TV, episode, and you're like, I mean, 30 minutes isn't a long time. Like, I feel like flipping a house would be a long time. So I think experiencing all of it, you're like, oh no, this does take a long time. You're like, yeah, no, this is like some serious work. So I think it's cool because it's kind of applies to life too. It's like you'll see people do some stuff or like travel somewhere to go for work or do this or do that, and you'll be like, I feel like there's a lot behind that. And so I think for me it was cool. Like you're like, oh, there is more behind that, And I think I apply that to other stuff where it's like you'll see people go work on a work trip or go do this or go do that, and you're like, well, I know there's more behind that, and it's probably a lot of work. So I think for me, it was cool, like seeing the behind the scenes of everything, like, and obviously doing the behind the scenes of everything. And I think the how and why is like, I think some of it was just like being able to do it. You know what I'm saying? You're like, can I do that? You kind of have that question. You're like, I feel like it's possible. And then we did it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's cool that way where it's like, oh, like we can do this. You know what I'm saying? I think that's part of the how and why is like, oh, we can do this. Like this is an option. Like, it's in the tool bag now of like, oh, we can't flip a house. We can't do this. So I think that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Like seeing like Home and Garden TV and then doing it ourselves. Like that was cool.
Yeah. We should have had our own show.
Should have.
Yeah. The Property Family or something. We could have called it. Hey, look, the opportunity may still be there. Yeah, the opportunity may still be there.
Hey.
Yeah. If anybody at HGTV is watching this, we could be the Property Family. We're up for it. Sign us up. We're in.
Maybe we could do like the Bahamas. We could do like the Bahamas. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Flip a couple on the Bahamas. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I wouldn't mind, staying in a warm spot. Well, Jack's already warm. He's in Alabama, so
lucky.
Yeah.
Hey, it's like 61 today. It's cold. Yeah. I had a sweatshirt on this morning.
It's 37 here, so.
The reason we have sweatshirts on here. Yeah. Inside. Yeah. Inside because it's cold out. But yeah, I think the cool part is like you guys. One of the things that, and I've always told you guys this too. As a dad, my goal is to like. You guys should be like my goal. My job as a dad was to, help create a better life between your mom and I. Create a better life for the two of you that she and I had, right? And she and I had great lives growing up. It wasn't bad, but it was what's the next, right? The next generation should be the better generation. Now the pressure's on you guys because now your job is to create a better life for your kids when you decide to have them, right? And so, do you feel that pressure? Do you feel like that there's something to kind of live up to in a sense that you or do you not want to have kids? I don't know. We haven't had that discussion. This is deep. We're getting deep right now. Like we're getting deep on this discussion.
I don't know.
I mean, you're 13. It's a tough answer.
In like 20 years, maybe kids, but not soon.
Well, I hope not. Right? Like, yeah. One of you have kids anytime soon. Like, I'm not ready to be grandpa, right? So I'm cool with it, right? I'm way too young and way too cool to be a grandpa right now.
Grandpa fantastic.
Yeah, right. I'm way too young and way too cool for that. But no, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What are your like you guys are a next generation of up and coming entrepreneurs, salespeople, whatever it is, I feel like an entrepreneur, it covers so many things. Even if, Jack, we've talked about, coaching basketball, right?
Yeah.
That's almost an entrepreneur mindset because you're built, if you think about like basketball coaches, they're building a program that has their own stamp on it, right? It's not somebody else's, it's their own stamp. And I almost feel like in a sense that's entrepreneur. You're working for someone, like you're working for a school or a university or something like that. But at the same point, it's your thing,
Yeah, like I've talked to some coaches and stuff, and it offered me a good perspective in the sense that like when I ask everybody, they're like, it's like, do you still have those ties? Like obviously I'm a huge Alabama fan, right? Like, love Alabama sports, everything. And it's like when you become a coach of a certain school or you get this opportunity, it's like that kind of goes away because your school and yourself kind of mesh together. Like if you look at it now, like Oates at Alabama is like that's one and the same. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not two separate entities. Like in a sense, they're the same, right?
Yeah.
Because Oates is, philosophy and the way he works and the way he does stuff and everything just gets transferred onto the university in a good or bad way, depending on the coach, like whatever it is. So I think it's like a meshing thing. It's not like you're not here and here. It's together, So I think that's kind of it. And I think, future wise, it's just like kind of the same thing. Like take the opportunities I get, and then I don't think it's pressure necessarily of like continuing on because I feel like I have a good sense in me about everything, and I have a good ability in me. So I think I don't have any pressure. I don't think, I wouldn't call it pressure. I would just call it like the next thing, like I don't think there's pressure of like continuing this on or keeping everything steady or whatever. It's like, no, like I know I'm steady. I know I'm good. I have, I know I have good abilities and I have good intentions. It's like, it's not pressure to me. I think it's just the next thing,
I love that. What about you?
I feel like if I just do like what you guys did, really, I think I'd be perfect. Like,
I don't know about perfect. But what, like, and you're 13, so these decisions don't have to be made today.
Yeah.
Right. But what do you think about? What do you guys think about the future? Like, what do you think about 30 years from now? The world in general, right? Like, what do you think of the next big investment? When are we going to get flying cars? That's my question. When are we going to get flying cars?
Hopefully tomorrow. That'd
We
be
were
cool.
supposed to have them by now. I mean, according to the Jetsons cartoons, we were supposed to have them by now. But what do you think the future looks like? Like the world view from the 13-year-old perspective.
I think it's gonna be like completely different, just like with the AI and everything. So I think like the AI is gonna have like a big change on the world. No matter like what, like for like anything, like cars, work, everything.
So the self-driving cars, we're not gonna have to drive anymore either.
That would be cool. And I could just tell it to drive me to practice.
Isn't it scary though?
No, I mean I don't really think so. I think it would be better for the world.
Yep.
If it doesn't have like a dark turn and like
you need to watch Terminator.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
We need to rewatch Terminator over the weekend. Well, yeah, we need to rewatch Terminator. Let's see how good that worked out for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So if the robots don't turn on us, then I think we're good.
Okay. If the robots don't turn on us, we can name this episode.
Big if. That's a big if.
Yeah. Jack, what's the 20-year-old perspective of what the next 20 years is going to look like in our world?
I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like, obviously things will change. Like if you go back 20 years from now, if you go backwards, it's like obviously things were different, but your day-to-day, your general living style was essentially the same. And I think all this next 20, 30 years, whatever it's going to like, it's all just going to be improvement of what we have, but it's going to be generally the same. Like, I don't think it's anything too crazy. Like, obviously AI will have a difference in it, but I think it's not going to be something crazy where it's like we have robots like, doing everything for us, or, it's like the Jetsons where we're living in the sky. I think it's just going to be like everything's going to have improvements. Cars might be better. Cars will be self-driving, whatever it is. But generally, I mean, you'll listen to the same music. You'll do the same things. Like you'll go to work, you go home. Like, I don't think it's going to be too crazy in the sense that it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I think it's going to be more of like everybody thought this was going to happen. Oh, it didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was it? Back to the Future. They said we'd have like the hoverboards by 2015.
And like the self-lacing shoes, the whole thing. Let's have all that, man. They do have those actually. So
yeah, but like you have those things, but it's like did anything really change? Like kids still go to high school, kids still go to college. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still the same concept. It just changes a little bit. Like you don't see kids hovering to school, but you still see kids going to school. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think it's just going to be improvements on what we have, but I think it's generally going to be the same concept, same layout. You know?
Yeah. I think you're both onto something. I think so I'm 51, right? So how much has changed in my life has been incredible. You guys have grown up with computers and smartphones and all those things. I've had to learn how to use them all, right? When I was in high school, I took a typing class, like on a typewriter. Like it was a typewriter. Like it was cool. My teacher loved it. And you know what? I look back on that and I'm so thankful I did it because now I can type really well. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I type faster than both of you.
Oh yeah.
So, but because I learned how to do it on a typewriter, then when a computer came out, they called it keyboarding instead of typing. But it's technology. Technology, it will continue to change and continue to affect what we do and have an impact on what we do. But I think it is, it's kind of like the AI thing, and AI has been brought up in business a lot. And realtors have been told, well, AI is going to replace a real estate agent. Real estate agents are going to be obsolete in 10 years because we're not going to need it because we have AI, right? And I think one of the big things that being 51 that I've learned along the way is that the one thing it can't replace, and the one thing technology can't replace, whether that's AI, the internet, or whatever, because the other thing that you guys never heard about was there were so many people that were told their job was going to be obsolete because the internet was invented. Mm-hmm. Like the internet's coming out. Oh my God, people are going to lose their job. It's like, well, no, it created more jobs, right?
Yeah,
it created things. Now, what you had to do was learn how to use it, though, right? You had to learn how to use it. That it became another tool in your tool belt. And I feel the same way about AI. I feel like AI is just going to be another tool in our tool belt, and it's going to be fine. And you just have to leverage it for your business. I leverage it every day. Right? I use AI every single day in some facet of my business every day. It will help you write contracts, right? It will help you. I showed you guys music. It'll write music. The crazy part is what it's going to do is it will replace some people's work functions in a sense. But it's the people that will learn how to use it at a very high level will start to make a whole bunch of money using it. Right? No different than coding was, right? So Jack, you're 20. Coding was like a big thing, right? Like when you were a kid, you had to learn how to code computers, right? Well, you're looking at me like coding. What the heck's coding, right?
Well, I do it in school.
Yeah, you do it in school, but
not.
But what the next thing is going to be, what I feel is going to change, it's going to be prompts. What prompts do I use with AI to write the things that I need it to write? And I think that may replace coding. Right? Like I got to learn how to write the correct prompts for the AI to do the things I want it to do, as opposed to learn how to code the AI.
It's kind of like a translator.
Yeah.
Like you have to translate what you want out of it to a system where it's very yes or no. Like an AI, I feel like is like yes this, no this, yes this. Like it's not like maybe. It's that definite thought. So I think it's like one of those things where I think in the future, AI is going to be like everybody's going to have a secretary, essentially. You'll put in your schedule, you'll put in what's coming up, you'll put in what you got to keep on your radar. And I think everybody will just have basically an assistant. You know what I'm saying? I think AI will just be your assistant. Like, I think it's going to be like, hey, I have a meeting at 3:00. It's like, all right, just send it to my AI assistant. And then it'll just remind me in 30 minutes, be like, oh, hey, you got a meeting. So I think it's kind of, that's my view on AI is like, it's going to be, everybody's going to have a secretary. So like, if I want to have a meeting with you, let's say, I would be like, hey, my AI, whatever, send a message to Jimmy Nelson's AI about the meeting we have in 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I think it'll be like a communication thing where it's like, hey, I want this meeting. Go talk to Jimmy's AI. Jimmy's AI will tell me when he's available. And then their AIs will figure it out, and then it'll just tell me, 5:30 meeting. Like, all right, sounds good.
I like, and again too. Then we just like talk right to our phone, right?
Yeah.
Then we just talk to our phone and tell our phone that, I think you're right. I think you're on to something. I think that's kind of where it's going to be. But being 51 and figuring this stuff out, like it hasn't been easy. Learning laptops and podcast boards and But because here's my thing going back to AI. One thing it can't replace, and one thing that I teach people every day is how to talk to people. Because that's one thing that you guys miss out on a lot is this face-to-face interaction stuff. Which is where my age that we grew up. We didn't have stuff. The whole thing. I drank out of a garden hose and all that stuff, and my parents didn't know where I was. It's all absolutely true. First of all, it's all absolutely true. Nana and Papa will tell you they probably knew where I was, but they did not know where I was at all for most of the time growing up. Where, your mom and I always knew where you two were. We still pretty much know where you guys are all the time. You know what I mean? But my parents had and when I was 13, my parents, and when I was 20, had no idea where I was. Not a clue. But I say all that to say, like, that's where my generation needs to help your generation is, how do I have these conversations? Like, how do I have the tough conversation? And one of the things I'm glad that I'm bringing back to school for him, and I don't think they had it when you were there, but is the debate club.
Yeah, we have it.
Yeah, and we were talking about it today. I'm like, you should be in the debate club. We need to learn. We need to learn how to debate better, right? Because everybody has different opinions. We all just learned this from our recent election. Everybody has different opinions on things, and everybody has different views on things. But we should be able to have a discussion around them without being so emotional, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things. And I hope you guys are getting this, like that I wanted you guys to learn is emotional intelligence. And do you know what emotional intelligence are? No, Jack?
Emotional intelligence, I would say, is like knowing when to use your emotions and when not to. I'd say it's like a switch, and I think from my point of view, like seeing recruiting and seeing like the way, college athletics recruits, players, it's like in reality, they don't care what you do outside of the pro, like, I'm saying, like, they don't like actually care, I'm saying, like, in a good or bad way, like, go do whatever for the 2 hours that you're not here. But when you're here, it's like, this is what we're doing. And I think that's emotional intelligence, of a sense of like, you go do whatever you want, go be whoever you want, whatever. But it's like, we have a common goal when you get here. And I think that could be applied to like jobs, what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I think it's missed in jobs where it's like, people get in arguments about whatever it may be. And it's like, oh, it's, you disagree with me on this. You just like, everybody's going to have disagreements. So I think it's like, the point is like, you have to get your point across, other person has to get their point across, and you got to find that middle ground. And I think it's also part of it would be good for AI is like being able to communicate that, what I'm saying? Like, translate it to like other people's perspectives,
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And so emotional intelligence, right? You were on the path, Jack. And I've always taught it to you guys, and I just probably never explained it like, hey, this is emotional intelligence, right? And I've always done that. And I think emotional intelligence is the fact that I don't go too high, too low, right? I don't make on decision making, right? So the decisions that you make in life can't be determined on your emotions alone. Okay. So that again, whether they make you mad, whether they make you sad, whether they make you frustrated, right? All those things all have an impact on the decisions you make on a daily basis, right? So if you're frustrated one day and having a crappy day, you're going to make different decisions that day than you are the day that everything's going smooth and easy for you. Make sense? So the day that everything's going smooth and easy, you're probably going to make more decisions that are aligned with the way you truly feel. If you're going through a day and you're making decisions and you're having a crappy day, right? First of all, you have the ability to change that. Secondly, the decisions you make that day are typically going to be faster and not in the right direction of where you want to go. So the emotional intelligence piece comes in when I say, all right, I have to PTA this, right? And the PTA is I have to pause, think, and then act. Okay. I can't make an emotional decision. I have to pause, think about what the next decision I'm going to make is, and then take an action on it. Because if I don't PTA it, if I don't pause, think, and act, I make an irrational decision, and it's probably in the wrong direction of where I want to go. So that boils down to even being 13, right? And knocking somebody's books out of their hand in the hallway, right? If somebody knocks my books out of my hand in the hallway, like what's my emotion going to tell me to do? Mine and yours is probably different, right? But we grew up different. But I would say pause, think, and act, right? Pause, like, all right, well, why did this person knock the books out of my hand? Right? Because now I'm thinking about it. I paused. Now I'm thinking, like, why did they do this? Like, what was the purpose? And then my action is next, right? And what action do I take? Do I just pick my books up and keep walking? Do I pick my book up and hit them in the face with it? But anyway,
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the emotional intelligence piece, right? That's where you start to feel like the decisions I make. Jack, same thing for you. Like if you're driving, right? This is where our emotional intelligence can come into key places too. When we're driving, right? This person in front of me cuts me off, doesn't put a blinker on, cuts me off. I yell at them. I throw them the middle finger. Whatever, I pull up the light. I'm like, what if that person was legitimately in an emergency situation where they were trying to get somewhere quickly, or trying to get to someone that was in trouble, or trying to help someone out, and I emotionally don't act correctly, and then that's what happens. So that's the emotional intelligence piece, right? Like that's where it comes in. Like no matter the situation, too high, too low, I don't go too high, too low. I stay in the pocket. I don't do a lot of that overreaction stuff, right? No, it doesn't say that it doesn't happen from time to time, right? But then I have to say, all right, how do I rectify this? How do I keep this together? How do I keep my emotions in check? And at 13, that's probably harder than it is at 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that's true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get the driving, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't get the driving. But like knocking the books out of your hand.
Yeah.
Right? Like emotionally, what would that feel like right now?
Right now I would just kind of I would do like the PTA thing, and then I would kind of just not like laugh, but just kind of like why? Not like just like I don't know.
No, it's good. It's yeah. Yeah, just kind of like laugh it off.
Yeah, just
like idiot, right?
Yeah.
Just call me an idiot and move on.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jack, let me ask you this. So at 20 and then compared to being 13, like what does that emotional intelligence look like now at 20? How much different does that look at 20 than at 13?
I think for me, it's more of like you understand people better. You know what I'm saying? Like you see, because like you just have more experience. I think that's kind of the biggest thing is like you have more life experience. So you'll have those situations and you'll be like, why did that person do this? Or why did this happen? Or whatever. And you'll kind of take a second to look at it and be like, okay, like I've had experiences similar. So you kind of take those experiences and you're like, okay, like maybe they're just, something's happening, someone's, whatever. And so I think from my perspective, it'd be like, you good? Like, what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't get angry at that person. I feel like I would be more questioned to like ask them, be like, like what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, you good? Like, what's happening? I think that's kind of the difference of like, you understand it more of like people have tough times, people go through tough times. So it's like, you can kind of understand it better than you, if you are 13, Yeah.
Yeah. It's again, it's life lessons, right? And you learn these things along the way. Yeah. You learn these things along the way. And again, it's not always easy. Right. And one of the things I think I've always told you guys too is like, I'm not going to be there for every decision you're going to make. Right. It's just not how, that's just not one. It's not realistic. any big decision you have to make, I hope I'm part of it, right? To help you guide and help you along the way. But I'm not going to always be there for you with every decision you're going to make. You're going to be, somebody's going to knock the books out of your hand. Somebody's going to cut you off. Somebody's going to say something sideways to you. Somebody's going to do something, you know what I mean? Like it's so I'm not going to be there all like you're not in a bubble, and your mom and I have never put you guys in a bubble. I think we've always kind of pushed you out. You're more me than your mom though, right?
Yeah, I think.
Is she going to listen to this?
Hope not.
Yeah, she will. Whether she likes it or not, you guys know I put this on in the car, and then, then I force her to listen to the show. But yeah, I think as you guys are growing up, I think we start to see things a little bit different, and even from your mom and I's perspective, right? We see things differently, and we see things different. And again, you guys are 7 years apart, so you've gotten. Like I said earlier, you've gotten two different versions kind of dad in a sense of thought process and how to do these things. And I said, I think the same thing, probably with your mom too, right? That you've probably gotten a couple different versions of her. You guys think that too?
I don't really know about her. I mean, I don't know. I think she worked more then. I think she worked a lot more than she does now. Like she has Fridays off, she has the weekends off, but she's always had the weekends off. But like back then she didn't have Friday off. So, but that's just different. Like she never really like picked me up from school. Yeah. So I think she got off work.
Yeah. And then what's the perspective on your mom?
What do you mean?
Like what do you think? Do you think she's changed, or do you think like your mom's pretty steady?
Yeah.
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 I don't think she's changed like personality wise. I don't really know about work wise though. I just know that she's just gotten more time off work.
Yeah.
Like she has more vacation time, so she can like come do more stuff with us too if she wants. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. But we count on your mom for everything.
Yeah. No, yeah. Without her, everything would just be like falling apart and disarray. And,
the world would be falling down.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, we'll make her listen to this part. And but no, I think that I again giving thanks and being thankful in this, especially this season and this time, and I'm always thankful that we get to spend time together. And as time moves on, one thing you'll find is you guys have heard me say this a billion times too, but years go by fast and days go by slow. But I think also it's taking advantage of the time that you have as opposed to worrying about the time you don't have. Right? It's like, Jack, you're 14 hours away. So when we do get time with you, we want it to be quality time, right? It can be short, right? It can be a day or two or whatever. If we fly down or if you fly up and it's a day or two, we just make the most out of that time, right? We make the most out of that time when we can get it. And I think it's the same thing with you. You're 13, you're trying to figure life out, and high school next year and all that fun stuff. And it's quality time over quantity sometimes. You feel that too?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do you take advantage of the time?
I just try to put like my fullest into it. If like when he's home, if he's only home for like 3 weeks, then I try to like do the most. Like go to the movies, play catch, play basketball. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just try to do as much as I can.
Yeah. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I think sometimes you'll know if you're like, I'm not putting my full effort into this. And so I think that's when you try to step it up more and you're like, all right, let's take this day and do everything. Like today, like, I'll go beat Nick in basketball. Like, I'll take advantage of the day and like make sure I have a good day out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think even sometimes like people underestimate too, just being in the same room as people. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm home, like sometimes it's not necessarily I want to do something or I want to go to the movies to do this. It's like sometimes I just want to sit at home with you guys in the same room. You know what I'm saying? Like not even doing anything, throwing on a random movie or whatever. It's just like I just want to be in the same room, have that same energy. You know what I'm saying? Of like, hey, we're all in the same room. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes even simple stuff like that is sometimes the best, where it's just like, you know, we're talking, we're hanging out, but it's like we're not doing anything crazy. We're not going somewhere. We're not doing something. It's like, no, we're just hanging out. You know, I think that's kind of sometimes like an underrated thing people forget about too, is just like taking a deep breath with the people you want to be around and be like, all right, we're all here. We're all in the same room. Like, let's just have fun right here. You know?
I love that. I love simplicity is genius.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes just the simple little things, you know, have the most quality and the most, again, it goes back to what's the impact, right? Like what's the most impact I can have, you know, with the time that I do have or the time that I don't have. And I just don't worry about the time that I don't have. I only worry about the time that I actually do have, you know? And I always want to keep that sense of, not worrying about the stuff that I don't have or the time that I don't have, but that actual time that I have, right? Everybody gets 84,600 seconds every day, right? It's like, think about that. The 84,600 seconds gets put into your bank account every day. And then who are you spending that with? How are you spending it? What are you doing with it? Are you intentional with it? And are you getting better than you were yesterday, today, right? And I think and it can be very small, right? Very small, incremental, just am I better today than I was yesterday, right? And I think that's one of the lessons that you guys all should take away from this, probably, and the people that are listening to this, right? We're listening to the next generation of people talk about very similar things that we talk about all the time, right? Scheduling time, doing the hard stuff before I do the easy stuff, right? Taking some time for myself, like taking a mental break, you know, and super important lessons that I think we skip over a lot of times in our life because we don't take the time, one, to self-check ourselves and get mentally right. And you know, again, as guys, right? As guys and men, we're not supposed to talk about this stuff, right? Like you guys, but we do. Like, you know, you guys know if I've always been open about this stuff. Like this is what we do, right? And it's important, right? And I think, you know, I've never been the maybe, I don't know. Have I ever been the toughen up dad? Like,
not really. I mean,
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, situation by situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think generally, like, people, I mean, it's funny coming from me. People just overthink everything. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people have so many questions about AI. It's like, well, what if AI just takes my job? It's like, what if AI does take your job? Then you're going to find a different job. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're nothing, like, it's going to change what job you have maybe, or change the kind of job you do. But like, the same thing's going to still happen. Like, you're still going to go to work. You're still going to find a job. You're still going to do this. You're still going to do that. You know, and I think that's I think it's really just about everything. It's like, well, what's going to happen if this happens? It's like, I don't know. It'll happen, you know?
Or you have the same job, just like a different task from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, you're like, well, this is a big decision coming up. Like, well, what's going to happen if it goes this way or that way? It's like, I don't know. For me, my day will stay the same. You know, like, my day will stay the same. I might change jobs or do whatever, but generally it's going to be the same as it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's kind of the simple thing of like sometimes big decisions are very simple, you know, like, I guess sometimes it's just like that, where it's like, yeah, it's like, it may be built up to be a big decision or a huge sway of a decision. It's like, or it could just be the same thing as it always was, you know, it just changes differently, but it ends up being the same in the end.
Yep. No, I love it. Like, it's perspective, right? I think it's a lot of it is perspective. Where's the future going? I think you guys, you know, we talked about that, but I feel like it is perspective, and I do think it is. It goes back to, you know, if we talk about technology, whatever. It's can I let it adversely affect me? I can, right? Or do I let it positively affect me? And I can do that too. And both of those things are my choice. Both of those things are my choice. I get to choose that every day. I again, you guys, the part that always got me mad was like, well, I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I'm like, well, then take your ass back to bed, roll over, and get out of the other side then, because I don't have time for that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's right. Maybe that's where I've been the toughen up dad, right? I don't have time for negative stuff. No. So, all right. So we got about 5 minutes left, and I'm gonna let you two wrap this up. But what's it been like with a dad as a coach?
I don't know. I feel like it's just like a normal life, and everyone when I like that question, like when like your coworkers ask like how it is to be your son, it just kind of, I don't know, like normal. Like there's nothing different.
Is it? I guess the question, I think, because they would compared to like, well, we talked about it the other day, right? Your friend said they saw me on TikTok.
Yeah.
His friends are watching my TikTok videos. It's different because there's no other dad that's on TikTok. Am I right?
No, there's no other dad.
So that's different.
Yeah, that's different. I feel like you try to get more into social media than like most people do.
Yeah.
So that's different. But
is that weird?
That's a little weird. Yeah, that's a little weird.
Why? Because I'm on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's no crazy dances though. I mean, maybe I should do that though. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I should do something like that. I don't know. To get some more attention. But other than that, it's just normal,
huh? Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's nothing different.
Jack, what about you?
I think it's more of like I would say whenever you coached me, you were the hardest on me, which is a good thing. Like obviously, like I liked it because I was like, yeah, obviously I want to be better at like what I'm doing, but like a lot of people have the sense that like, oh, if you're coaching your son, it's like, oh, well, you're just playing him because like, he's your son. Like why does he get all these minutes, or why does all this happen? You're like, or it's because like I'm pushing the hardest and he's probably the one that's like working the hardest because I'm always on him, which is like, it's not a bad thing. It's like that made me better. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it was different. I just think it was like you expect more out of me, and that's a good thing. Like I expect more out of myself, So I think it's not like a bad thing where it's like, oh, like, my dad coaching me is the worst. It's like, no, this is the best. Like this is awesome.
Well, good. That means that means I did all right. But here's the other thing. So the last question is, so remember we played music in the morning a lot. You guys remember that?
Oh yeah.
Did you
I remember it? Yeah.
The music in the morning? Where I would play the inspirational music in the morning?
Yeah.
We need to do that more, don't we?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get back to inspirational music in the morning.
That was when I liked Sunflower.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back when the Spider-Man movie came out.
Yeah, we did a little Post Malone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sunflower. Yeah, that was that song. We played that song every morning in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll get back to it. More Post Malone in the morning. Yeah, why not? Yeah, more Post Malone in the morning. So, well, all right, we're wrapping up. Jack, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
see ya.
For sure. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Yep.
And again, you can find the Elite Real Estate Podcast live every Friday at 7:30 in the morning, or you can find it everywhere you find your podcast. Right. So look for the Elite Real Estate Podcast wherever you find your podcast, and we will talk to you all